home to. Yes, I am on my way.
Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Premier League. It's a bit odd seeing me in the morning, isn't it? But I am actually awake. I've been awake since about 8ish. So I thought I'd jump on. We are going to look to do a few more morning things, you know, to cater for people who are morning people. Not like myself. Big up Max, who says, big up Narborough, early stream. Jeez, it is an early stream, but I thought I would cater for the morning that I was up, and this is a fairly important story, and boy, there's a lot about this story we need to talk to. But before we do all of that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well if you're new to the channel. We've got all sorts of things on this channel. We've got United content, Chelsea content, Liverpool content, Argyle content if you're into lower leagues. Obviously, I'm an Argyle fan, but I watch the Premier League. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't watch the Premier League? And talking of watching the Premier League, is that going to happen? We'll look through what is going to be discussed at this Premier League meeting today. They're obviously going to talk about COVID-19 and what they are going to do as a league. But before we do that, Spurs have been... Well, they forfeited their Europa Conference League match against Rennes, so it'll go down as a 3-0 defeat, which means out of the competition. So there was always concern about Spurs because, you know, they've got 4 games now. I think they're behind 3 or 4 games that they've got to somehow fit into this season. It's not going to be easy. I think I read somewhere that there's 2 weekdays with nothing on at the moment. Obviously, that's catering, you know, there'll be lots at the moment because we haven't progressed through the Champions League and the Carabao Cup. So there is only 2 available weekday fixtures that we can put these on. We've also got an early, well, not an early finish. We're finishing around about the same time, but we cannot extend it by any more, and I'll go into why. But senior representatives from every top flight side are meeting to discuss what has been described as a festive firebreak as COVID-19 continues to rip through the fixture schedule, with 6 of the 10 Premier League games at a weekend called off. Obviously, we all know that Villa were called off 2 hours before kickoff. We saw that again midweek with Watford and that. I did behind closed doors talk last night on my channel. And I can see why managers want a break from Premier League with Omicron variant spreading quicker than butter on bread. It's difficult, but I will explain why it's difficult in just a second. So they also say that a short break would involve in postponing 1 round of fixtures from December 28th to 30th. So match day 19, I believe, which... It's not match day 19 for everyone, but it would be match day 19, provided all games were played so far. Although it remains unclear whether it will gain support of the 14 or 20 clubs needed to be introduced, as some such as Tottenham have already had an enforced rest. The financial ramifications reneging on the various television deals are expected to be made clear, along with the fact that there's little space in the calendar given the disruption caused by the Winter World Cup in Qatar. So, and this is what I was saying. There is so much, right? So much regarding the whole thing. So, as we all know, Amazon Prime pay for 2 weekend fixtures every year, and they're always in December, and it always includes the Boxing Day or the so-called Boxing Day fixtures. They pay for them. They pay good money as well to get the fixture schedule for that day. If we renege on that, you're going to have to I'm sure Amazon Prime would be given the opportunity to cover those games, but are they going to be happy paying the premium price that they would be paying, which would be Boxing Day coverage? Because I bet you, if Amazon Prime didn't do it, Sky would have probably done it, BT might have done it. You know, it's a very difficult situation, and it's a situation I don't think the Premier League want to try and get into. So ultimately, it's a risk. In terms of the financial ramifications, clubs are going to be told, look, if you can't cover these fixtures, we're going to have to renegotiate that deal, which means you giving money back, because they get the quota, don't they? They get the TV money is sort of split, probably into like 22 or something, which is mostly for the Premier League and some for the club. So And that is the issue. So you've got the issue of Amazon Prime. So you're going to have to discuss and negotiate a new one with them, because they're not going to pay premium price to cover weekday fixtures in February or March, because they're simply just not the viewing, right? The reason they do Boxing Day is everyone's off work. Football is normally is a big part of English culture for Christmas, right? We've always watched football on Christmas. Well, I certainly have. So we've got that as well to think about as well. And I just think, that in itself is a messy situation. Then you add in the World Cup in next year in Qatar, which is in November, December. That means there is not much of a gap this summer, really, in terms of league ending, league starting, right? Because, we're going to have to essentially, I think we stop on the 22nd of May. I think that's the final day of fixtures. You can't really go any further into that, because if you do, you're then taking away rest time for the players, to which they're going to need it. You're going to then take away pre-season time, which is going to be needed to get the players fit for the season. So there's not much time between, as I say, season ending, season starting as it is. You can't extend this season anymore. There isn't the room. You can blame sort of FIFA and UEFA, really, because ultimately, do we really need the Nations League? Was that really a necessity? Not really, no. Do we need to have a World Cup in the winter? No, absolutely not. You could have picked a country that could have held it in the summer. I'm not even saying England. You could have held it in America, right? You could have held it in, I know Russia's just had it, but you could have held it, Japan, right? You could have held it in a country that could host it in the summer. Obviously, at the time, they didn't know COVID-19 was going to ravage its way through the world in a world pandemic. But at the end of the day, did you really think it through? Whose idea is it to have a Winter World Cup, for goodness sake? It's stupid at best. So you got that issue as well. So it's not the time to get these games in. I've as I've just said, you've only got 2 weekday midweek fixture blank for postponed games. Tottenham have got I think they're 3 or 4 behind. So they've already going to be using those to be put in. So that's part of the issue, is where are Spurs going to play their games? Like when? Is that you've got to think about all sorts of things. Player welfare. Are we now going to have to play Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday and Sunday? Like, are we already going to have to do all of this? Because I'm not sure. I don't know. When do we have to? When do we start taking the player safety foremost? So that's part of it. Breaking Tottenham have exited the Europa Conference League after forfeiting their game against Rennes, which they could not play due to a mass COVID outbreak, which within their squad. Yeah, never mind, I already said this. I had already said it, but obviously it was, again, down to COVID. I don't know how UEFA have said that that Tottenham forfeited the game. I really don't. When you've got COVID-19 ravaging your way through your squad, you can't play that game. So UEFA, again, just proving money talks. But again, can you even blame UEFA, really? Because, well, firstly, you can blame UEFA, because I don't think you needed a Europa Conference League, not in this time. They literally, it's the first year of doing it, and they've literally done it when there's a fucking pandemic around. Are they thick? Are they thick as fuck? Like, genuinely. Did UEFA not go, engage brain, world pandemic, what could happen? I know, we'll get more games on the calendar. It just made no sense. It made no sense. And, UEFA, they're just money-grabbing bastards. And I during the Super League nonsense, I got accused of defending UEFA. I never defend UEFA. They were just the best out of a bad bunch. They are fucking stupid. Why would you have a Europa Conference League? Why would you make a new Conference League in the middle of a fucking pandemic? Like, did we not engage our brains? Clearly not. So we've got that issue as well. There are so many issues. The impact on player welfare will also be discussed. Players who have not yet been vaccinated will feature on the agenda, but it's unlikely that those who refuse the jab will find themselves segregated in training and travel. And rightly so. Right? We are a country. We in England pride ourselves over choice. Right? You can decide to go get your vaccine. I am double jabbed. I'm not yet, and I'm not yet allowed to get my booster. And if I want to get my booster, I'll go get my booster. If I don't, I don't. Right? That's my decision. We should not force players to get the booster. We should not force players to have to get jabbed. If they want to get jabbed, they should get jabbed. If they don't want to get jabbed, they shouldn't get jabbed. Obviously, a club can make a decision in terms of if they don't get jabbed, they don't get vaccinated. A club could decide we don't want to sign, for example, new transfers. They could say, what's your COVID status? Have you had your jabs? If you haven't, maybe they don't want to go through it. I think Klopp said that. He also said that his squad's like 99% vaccinated, which you can definitely tell is true. So there's a lot behind it, but we shouldn't start forcing players to get the jab. That's a slippery slope in its own place. Same with the government trying to force everyone else to have their jabs. It's a very slippery slope. So we do have to bear that in mind. Morning, mate. Hope you're well. First time I've seen you do a morning stream. Morning, Chris. Morning. It is. But hopefully a few more of these. We may have a few more. It is something that we're looking to add, whether it be a regular thing or sort of not a one-off, but maybe, I don't know. But we are doing a weekly evening show, 5 p.m. 5 p.m. every weekday, provided. Yeah. So we've got that as well. The protocol around calling off matches will also be discussed, and been complaints from fans of the late call-offs are leaving them stranded. On Saturday, Villa's match with Burnley was postponed 2 hours before kickoff. The Premier League is employing a matchday -1 PCR testing system. Results are understood to take 12 hours, which leaves them little time for manoeuvre. Well, of course, if the results take 12 hours, you need to make sure you're testing. Let's say you're playing Saturday 3 p.m. right? Let's just do the easy one. Saturday 3 p.m. right? Test them on the Thursday. Test them on the Thursday. Get the results Friday. Make a decision on Friday. That way, you're never gonna get these issues. You're not going to leave away fans stranded in Birmingham or God knows wherever the hell they are in the country. I mean, do you imagine Argyle? Could you imagine if you started calling off Argyle games with 2 hours to go? We've just travelled. Let's put a bit of context into this. I know this is Premier League, but Argyle are the ones who travelled the furthest distance within the English leagues. If we were to travel to Sunderland, right, which we've just done, and you call that game off 2 hours to go, already in Sunderland, we are already. What you've done is you've then made the entire fan base travel the entire country from south to north and called the game off. That in itself is fucking thick. That is dumb, stupid, and we need to deal with this. And for me, test them on the Thursday, get the results on the Friday, make a decision. Quick, simple, organize yourselves. Right? You cannot be doing testing on a Friday, getting the results Saturday morning, then making a decision. This isn't grassroots soccer. Not soccer. This isn't even I'm calling it soccer now. It isn't grassroots football, right? This is the Premier League. This is a worldwide audience with thousands of fans, right? Thousands of fans would have been traveling, right, home and away, right? This isn't grassroots. Grassroots, you make decisions on the morning. Let's say a waterlogged pitch, you do that in the morning. If you haven't got the players, you can do that earlier. You just cannot treat this like grassroots, for goodness sake. Too many things around it. So you need to be more organised. The Premier League ultimately need to be much more organised. And for me, yeah, test them on a Thursday, get the results on the Friday. It may not be ideal, but deal with it. That's really the way we've got to do it. Chris says, I agree, personal choice is ridiculous forcing people to get double jabbed. It's disgusting that fans travel to Aston Villa, Burnley, then for the game to get postponed an hour before. Chris, my mum's mate went to Turf Moor from where I am and it got called off. It's BS. I call it football soccer because I checked my fam tree and it says I'm part American somehow. So that's interesting. Fair enough. If you're gonna call a game off, do it a day before. Exactly. Do it on the Friday. If you know you've got positive cases, and you're not going to be able to fulfill a fixture, do it on the Friday. Announce it on the Friday. No one's travelling then, because that's the other thing that people aren't taking into consideration. There's Omicron. It is more transmissible. We're told it's milder from South Africa. We haven't decided that. The government haven't decided the strength of it. But, you know, we're making fans travel. And this is the ridiculousness of the whole thing. We are making fans travel. Right. Whilst there's Omicron going around. Right. Think about this. So we're making fans travel, right, for Omicron. And yeah, it's more transmissible, which means you're going to be, let's say you're on public transport, even on the supporters coach, right? You're sat in a confined space, right? You maybe you're not wearing masks, or maybe you are. I'm not sure. You can still transmit it through the mask. It only limited protection. It's not foolproof. And then the game gets called off. So we're making thousands of people do needless traveling when there's an Omicron variant that is more transmissible, just because the Premier League couldn't be bothered to call off a game. How dumb is that? How stupid does that sound? We are making thousands of fans travel up and down the country when there's a variant around, just chilling, transmitting itself around. We're making fans travel up and down the country and then postponing a game of 2 hours before kickoff, taking no thought in the widespread transmission that thousands of fans traveling up and down the freaking country is going to have. Like, come on. Are we not engaging the part of our brain that says this is stupid? Are we not? Clearly we're not. The Premier League clearly are not thinking, I know what we need to do. We need to stop the fans travelling as well, in terms of we need to be more organised. Of course, if a game's going ahead and fans still allowed in the stadiums, they're going to travel. Make sure that you have to do it at the right time. Like, come on, let's think, people. We need to be thinking. Premier League clearly have not engaged that part of their brain. Max talking about Argyle. Yeah. It's mad. We've got that as well. So if one lesson is to be learned about football during the pandemic, it is no one wants to give anything away, and everyone will be looking after themselves. The obvious point around the Premier League meeting is the 9 matches have been postponed in barely a week, and all clubs, to a lesser or greater extent, are wrestling with the impact of COVID on their squad. There has also been raised eyebrows over the rescheduling of a match between players and captains, which had been scheduled for Monday but had to be moved because of the summit. Some believe that it should have gone ahead and the view should be taken into account at boardroom level. One insider says it does not make sense. The people this affects the most are players and managers. So why on earth would you? Can their meeting? You would imagine their feedback would be a most important factor to consider. You'd think so. Some have heavily criticised the top flight, with a number of players still yet to get a jab. But after his side's 4-0 win over Sunday, Pep made the point that COVID spread was not just football's issue, which is true, which is why I just mentioned about the fans, right? Making the fans travel, not engaging that part of your brain, and postponing a fixture. Right? I do, and look, I've said this on the United show and the Chelsea show. I fear we will have football behind closed doors again. I think it's almost a guarantee, almost a guarantee that we have football behind closed doors, right? Especially, with the imminent lockdown for the country in January, which I think if you haven't quite worked that bit out, don't know where you've been living for the last last couple of years, but Boris is going to lock us down. I'm almost certain of it. Right? I'm almost certain of it. So you've got that as well. So I think we're going to have football behind closed doors, and I also think that we're going into lockdown, but that's a completely different story. I reckon Premier League fixtures from 28th to 30th be postponed. I don't think they will, because with everything I've just mentioned, they're going to have to pay money back to Amazon, renegotiate that deal if Amazon want to cover those games. You're going to have where the hell in the fixture list are we playing these games? Because as I've said, we've got two free match day week nights available. 2. Most teams have already got 1 game postponed. United have got 2. Tottenham have got 3 or 4. Brentford have got 2. Most teams have got 2 games postponed already, so they've already taken up the 2 free spots in the midweek fixtures, the spare ones we had. So yeah, I don't know if they will, because there's not the room. There's just not the room, unless you're going to then tell managers you're playing every Tuesday and Thursday then to get these fixtures done, because you can't extend the season. There's no we can't extend the season into the summer, because guess what? We've got to come back early because of the World Cup in the winter in Qatar. So I understand that the logical thing would be postpone the games, have that whole time to sort it all out. But if you do, there's not the room. There's not the room to do that, because you're then talking, well, we've already used up the 2 free spots. Where's the 3rd spot coming from? Well, there isn't one. So you're going to have to chuck it on a Tuesday, and you're going to have to chuck it on a Thursday. And can you imagine the uproar from managers and players going, can't play for Tuesday and Thursday? Well, guess what? You're going to have to play these fixtures then. I don't know. That's the thing. That's the situation. I don't know what we do. And the Premier League have pretty much had a rod for their own back, because what's happened is last season, everyone was brilliant with protocols. Everyone was so good in terms of the protocols. They were keeping on top of it. It was fantastic. It was working brilliantly. So guess what? The minute that we all go back to normal, guess what? The clubs forget about it. So it's a mad one. Morning, Niall, and the chat. Morning, Tyler. Morning. Premier League will want these games done, so I agree, behind closed doors. Yeah, I think it will happen going there. Said it would happen in my stream, but again, who knows? I think they'll be postponed or just put behind closed doors. Well, you've just heard me why I don't think postponing these fixtures can happen. Not only for the financial implications that these clubs are not going to want to deal with, right? Because as I said, Amazon Prime pay good money to have Boxing Day fixtures or the festive fixtures, right? Very good money. They are top dollar. That is, barring last game of the season, festive fixtures are probably a second most expensive set of games to buy. Amazon have 2 sets of fixtures that they do. You have set 1 and set 2. Obviously, have the ones at the start of the month, 1 at the end of the month. They pay top money to get the stuff to get these fixtures. So you just cannot postpone these, really. And if you do, I hope every single fan, when you have to play Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday, do not cry like a bitch, because I will come back here. Right? I tell you now, if you lot start moaning, oh, we've had to play Tuesday and Thursday, and you moan at me, guess what? I told you you'd have to do that. If Jurgen moans, or Tuchel, or Rangnick, or whoever, right? If they moan that they've had to play Tuesday and Thursday and Saturday or Sunday, whatever days of the week they're operating, do not moan, because it's not their fault. But if these games get postponed, you've got no more room. Some have, some don't. Manchester United do not have that room. Manchester United have already postponed 2 games. You've got 2 free midweeks until the end of the season. You've just used them up with Brentford and Brighton. If you get Newcastle postponed, you're playing on a Tuesday and a Thursday and a Saturday, and I hope you enjoy it. All right? There's no getting away from that. There's no time at the end of the season to extend it. None. So, as I said, 3 games in 1 week. We'll see how you deal with it then. I bet the fans will start moaning then. I'm so tired. I've had plenty of sleep, so annoying. I hear that. I'm not tired, but I have heard that before, or had that before. What time is the meeting? 1 p.m. I believe. 1 p.m. is the meeting with the big bosses. What do you think will happen with the EFL games? They've been very clear. The EFL have been extremely clear. If you've got 14 players, including a goalkeeper, you're playing your games. And you know what? It's probably the right thing to do. I mean, the EFL's not in a worse situation than the Premier League in terms of fixtures, but I mean, 46 games for us lot. So you can imagine the nightmare if we start postponing games. So yeah, I think they'll just try and get all the games on. I think they'll get all of the games on. That they'll postpone them, just play with no fans. That is a possibility. It depends now, because they might be forced to postpone. They may do, and the ones forced to postpone, obviously I have great sympathy. But if all the Premier League big bosses or managers and that push to get this weekend's fixtures postponed, guess what? COVID's still going to be here in January when you play all. Yeah, it's still going to be here in January when you come back to play your games in January. And then, yeah, so the circuit breakers, for 1 set of festive fixtures? Well, that's really not going to help. If you're going to lock them down, you're going to have to do it for 2 to 3 weeks. And then if you lock them down for 2 or 3 weeks, you need a week for the players to get back into match sharpness, because you can't just have 3 weeks off and then jump back straight onto a pitch. That would be ridiculous. How many muscle injuries would you like to have per player? Right? So you can't do that. So it's a complete nightmare. If you cannot physically postpone these fixtures, it would be a madness. Depends how severe cases are for COVID at every club. Again, that's very different. That's not what I'm talking about, Kelly. I'm not talking about, the different severity of COVID cases within each club. What I'm saying is, if they blanket postpone these games, they're stupid. Do it on an individual club-by-club basis, right? So Tottenham are fine, right? I don't know who Tottenham are playing, but I know United are playing Newcastle. United apparently now should be fine. You should have players, because, you've had basically a week off anyway. So you should have the players to face Newcastle. Provided Newcastle are okay, that game can go ahead, right? Leicester have had this a similar situation. Spurs are fine. They've just had an enforced rest. If we blanket this, you're just causing yourself more harm than good. You have to do it by an individual basis, fixture by fixture. That's the only way. Of course, I'm not suggesting if your club is ravaged with COVID, go out onto a football pitch and spread it even more. What I'm simply saying is, if you are negative, you need to play your games, because if not, when we come to trying to get these games back on, you are in such a shit week already, because you already used up your 3 midweeks. There's no free weekend, right? Unless you start getting knocked out of the FA Cup. So essentially, you're screwed, is the nicest way to put it. Morning, Nat. Morning. Here we go again. Famous quotes, we are back. I hear that. But let's listen to, let's go for a bit more. First, where player games are going to be played. The season must end on 22nd of May. Between now and then, there are just 2 spare midweeks with no matches in them, as I've been saying multiple times. Second, our clubs are willing to pay a rebate to any broadcaster inconvenience, mainly Amazon Prime. Bet your money that they're probably not going to be too keen on that. And then there are political aspects. Moving fixtures from December to a later point in the season would help clubs who have money to spend in January. Newcastle. Clubs not in great form at present might be open to the idea. Chelsea. Whereas clubs who's in good form might want to be keener to play on. Man City. Yeah, there you go. Straight away. Newcastle would love their game against Manchester United to get postponed. Would love it. Do you want to know why? Because they're going to have money to spend in January. They're going to go get it. They're going to go get some players, aren't they? Is that going to be a stronger Newcastle side than that we're currently seeing right now? Yeah, but probably it will be. Right? Is it going to be dare I say, a better Newcastle? Yeah, probably it will. So you've got that one for Newcastle. Who's not in great form right now? Well, Chelsea. Chelsea are in dog shit form. Cannot get a goal to save their lives. And, their strike force has been, hit with COVID. So they would love to have games postponed. The later you play their games, the better for them, right? It gives Tuchel time to work his magic and all of that. And Man City are not going to want any games postponed because they're in great form at the moment and they're steamrolling most teams they play. Yes. No, you got the political. Did anyone just get the political idea there? Newcastle want to postpone their game versus Manchester United. I wonder why. Well, come on, let's be real. This Newcastle team is dog. They get a few. They go get Jesse Lingard, right? They go get Jesse Lingard and God knows what, a striker maybe, and a centre back and a midfielder, right? And they start really hitting the ground running. And then they beat United. Let's say they beat United. If they stay up by like 3 points or 2 points and Burnley go down, boy, I don't want to be the Premier League when you deal with that. Because Newcastle wouldn't have got those 3 points if they played United on the 28th. That's what Burnley would say. Burnley will be like, why do we have to get relegated? It should be them. So you've got an absolute shitstorm when it comes to that as well. So the political side is an absolute joke. Kenny, nobody's scared of you anymore, not because of that. No, I would say Newcastle. See, Max, there's just your flippant comments that piss me off, right? Of course Newcastle was scared of Manchester United. They have fucking Ronaldo, Greenwood, Sancho, Rashford, Bruno. Of course any team would probably be afraid of that. This Newcastle team are so shit. Of course they're going to be afraid of United. Shut your mouth. And let's go through what some of the managers have said, because there's been a few. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta on Saturday said he wants everyone to play under the same rules when it comes to deciding how things progress. Well, yeah, because Arsenal had their game postponed because they didn't have their game postponed at the start of the season because they were just forced to play it. They had 4 cases. United, I don't know what's going on with United. They had 4 cases, didn't they? But they had shut down their training ground, so players couldn't train and prepare for the game. So it's a madness there. Right, Klopp has had a lot to say. I go the step. You go to the step. So, right, Klopp has said something quite interesting. We play now. We play now on Wednesday, Sunday, Tuesday. Klopp said that is impossible. We do not have the players. We could maybe have another COVID case or 2. We have to think about it. We cannot just push it all through. First of all, take away the second semi-final of the Carabao Cup. Just play once. Wherever you play, I don't care. The 26th, 28th of December is not really possible. We would prefer to play it, but we need some help. If we carry on, we cannot carry on as usual. If we don't play any more and we have a break, I am fine. But I know the problem. When do you play the games? It is not easy to fit them in. We said before coronavirus that it was a bit busy, and now it gives us a proper punch. And do you know what? Klopp normally moans about a festive break and the winter break and all of that. Guess what? This man is absolutely spot on. So, you moan about having the fixture pile up, right? You moan about the fixtures piling up on Christmas, right? All foreign managers have moaned about the Christmas period. You do that. You do that. Love to know. Right, cool. Well done. Yeah. Then you have to play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Guess what? That is literally the same thing that you do over the Christmas period. The more games you call off, the more of them weeks you're going to have, which then means how many managers are going to moan about that? You tell me. You tell me how many managers will moan about that. I bet you a lot. I bet you a lot. So that is the issue. It is already busy. The season, the fixture pile-up is already a joke. Right, you've got UEFA putting a World Cup in the winter. You've got UEFA bringing out a new tournament and a Nations League. Stupid. You've got the Premier League still not budging on getting rid of the League Cup or making it, EFL only or whatever, right? They're still not prepared to do that. You've got Carabao Cup this week, by the way, guys. So you got all of that. We're not thinking. Well, I'm thinking pretty smart. Right now, I could probably run UEFA in the Premier League and do a better job because guess what? I am engaging this part of my brain, or both sides if I have it. The Premier League and UEFA, they're thinking money, money, money. Yeah, cool. Well done, boys. Well done. You really have shown your true colours. Not that we didn't know them already. So that's problem number 2. So really, what we need to do is we need to find a way of getting these fixtures done. Minimum, right? We've got no room. So if I was the Premier League chief executive, I would make that perfectly clear. Boys, you haven't got the room to start postponing and asking for fire breaks. Unless you want to play a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday fixture list, then be my guest. Any votes? What I would do, if I was a chief executive of the Premier League, I'd be like, this is obviously unsafe and we need to do it fixture by fixture. But if you want a blanket postponement, put your hands up. Who's willing to play Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? No hands. Right, cool. You're gonna have to do that. You're gonna have to do that if you want a blanket postponement. So, be my guest. Be my guest. Absolutely. Let's postpone all of the festive fixtures. Because these people just voted to play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And might I say, United had to do that last season. Remember? Liverpool, Leicester. Yes. Anyone remember that now? Yes. United played quite a shit team against Leicester, didn't they? And they got, argued with by Liverpool and Chelsea fans going, oh no, they're going to take it easy against Leicester. They had no choice. You had 1 day break. Do you want everyone doing that? Because I'm sure those games will be wonderful. I cannot wait to watch, Juan Mata and, Nemanja Matic playing midfield for Manchester United against whoever they're going to be playing. Newcastle. Probably do quite well. Probably do quite well. T says, made another YouTube channel called T-Boys TV. Extra would be much appreciated if you could, if people could sub. Absolutely, make sure you do that. Good morning, now. Big up to people in the comments. Big up DJ. Big up. We're just talking about COVID and how this could be a disaster, but now I've sort of explained, and now we don't know what we can do because there's nothing we can really do apart from try and get these games done at all costs. Whether that be chucking behind closed doors, God knows what. It's a nightmare. It really is a nightmare. Yeah. So Klopp's had his say. Tuchel has had a lot to say. Obviously, he was forced to play against Wolves. Only had 4 outfield players. So Tuchel has had a lot on the bench. He didn't play 7 goalkeepers, I promise. Although he probably would have to prove a point. But he said to BBC Sport, it's not safe. We talk about protecting players in a safe environment, but it's not safe. I would not be surprised if the next test shows up and we have more positives. How should it stop if we sit in the bus and have dinners and just stay together like nothing happened? That's what he said, and I understand that. I do. Look, I'm not an idiot. I understand it. I do. It's a difficult situation. I'm glad I'm not the one paid to deal with it because either way, whatever they decide to do, they're screwed, right? If they decide to postpone the games, guess what? You're going to have to play 3 games a week to cover these fixtures. If you play them and have more positive COVID tests, what other games get postponed? It's a difficulty. But I also remain very strong in my stance. I blame the Premier League. As I said, last season, when the pandemic was going on, football remained largely open all season. In fact, all season it did last year. The protocols were in place, training, social distancing when you can, wearing masks, all of this stuff. They then got removed when this season came into play, right? When the fans came back, all protocols appeared to go out the fucking window. Right? I started seeing managers back indoors being interviewed, players being interviewed indoors, hugging and kissing. Did we not learn from Mason Mount and Billy Gilmore and Ben Chilwell last year or in the summer? We didn't know. Okay, cool. So that's part of, I think, where the league has fucked up. What's happened is the league have got everyone's got careless. Everyone's got lazy in terms of the protocols that were implemented that worked. And now there's a more transmissible virus. Everyone's going shit. They fucked up. That's simple. They fucked up, really. It's not great. The 20 top flight clubs are set to meet on Monday at 1 p.m. to discuss the escalating crisis around the coronavirus pandemic. Managers and captains are also due to hold their own meetings. Again, does not surprise me. But yeah, that's pretty much that. What I'm going to do, for anyone who does want to come on and sort of discuss this, I don't know why people would want to come on and discuss COVID-19, but if you do, the link is going to be in the chat now, so you guys can come on and essentially have your say. So yeah, it should be going out now. The Twitter, it is in the comments. So if anyone does want to come on, the link is in the chat. There we go. Problem solved. So yeah, that would be sound. If you want to join me, you can. If you want to talk about one of your favorite topics, which is coronavirus, then be my guest. The link is in the chat for anyone who wants to come on and talk about their club's situation or it's a situation in general. You don't even have to talk about Liverpool, United or Chelsea. You could just talk about the situation as a whole, and what you think should happen, because ultimately it's a very difficult situation. It's a situation that I think, I do have empathy. I know during the stream I've been quite strong, but I think that's what the Premier League need to do. I think the Premier League need to show some fucking strength here, right? Because I've been very clear. If you want to postpone these games, you have to have a 3-game week later on in the season. This is the only way. Some will only have to have a 2 because teams like Liverpool have played both their midweek games this week, so they haven't postponed any yet, right? So they do have that space. Teams like Tottenham, though, don't have that space, don't have that luxury. They're 3 games behind already, or 4. United, 2 games behind. They don't have space. And that is the situation we're on. There's no space. There's no way that we can extend the season. There's no way that we can, there's no easy solutions, right? There's no easy solutions. But as I said, I do blame predominantly the Premier League because they had protocols in place that worked. They're not ruined them all, but they got rid of most of the ones that worked, right? We didn't have this problem last year. I know fans are back in the stadium, but that doesn't make it much more of a risk than it normally is. It doesn't. And yeah, that is essentially the situation, really. Someone has fucked up, and now sort of everyone's going to have to pay for it, and it's not going to be a nice situation for anyone. And as I say, I have great empathy, but ultimately, what are we meant to do? Right? We cannot keep postponing games because there's no room to put the fixtures in. But guys, it would appear no one's coming on, so I'm going to wrap it up there. We'll be back at 5 p.m. For a sort of a daily news roundup of the news day. Obviously, by that time, we would have had an announcement from the Premier League in terms of coronavirus. So we will, of course, touch on that as well. And yeah, it should be a really, really interesting stream. Lots to talk about. Rashford, Greenwood, De Ligt, got a few things on those three topics at the moment. We'll definitely have COVID. We should have the situation within the clubs and the decision and that. So that should hopefully be out by the time we go live. And then, yes, 5 p.m. we have got the EFL show. 6 p.m. the EFL show on the First XI. And then 9 p.m. weekly review show, which should be excellent. And I look forward to doing that as well. But thank you for watching, guys. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel. Check out our socials: Twitter, Let's Talk EPL, Instagram, Let's Talk EPL_, and on TikTok, Let's Talk Premier League. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace out.